All right, so what's going on? Welcome back to the Trampled Underfoot podcast show. We're live coming at you from the two extreme corners of the United States of America.
America. Yes,
Yeah.
we are. Jeez. I'm glad we don't edit anymore. Look,
Well,
for those of you who don't know, I'll go ahead and I'll make a statement. For those of you who don't know, we decided last week what we are going to do is do a slight format change. We're looking at various thises and that's. We have decided we're no longer going to do the audio portion of the podcast. We are going to be strictly YouTube only. That means that we are going to interact with you during the entire Ding Dong broadcast and just see if we can have a good time. It's still going to be the same silliness and madness. It's just we're no longer going to do the 1 hour audio side, then the after show. The whole thing is going to be after show. So chime in if you got a question, comment, demand for payment, whatever you want, throw it in the chat over here, and we will either acknowledge, ignore, or taunt you in the order in which they're received. So
all
I
right.
think that about covers it, doesn't it?
So I sent you earlier on, because I ran across this thing where I had to look. To be honest with you, I had to look at it twice too, Mark. To be
Mhm.
fair, because just earlier, Mark was I had shared a picture with Mark, and what it is so the title, I guess the theme we could call it, Straw Wars. Straw Wars, and what it is you guys have heard of the whole thing where everything's like, let's move away from plastics and whatnot. It's been going on for a while, but what it is that now they've gone and done the straws, and so you'll see like paper straws and whatever,
Yep.
with plastic cups still, with lids that pop off and this and that. Well, I ran across a picture meme type thing where it's like one of these cold latte plastic cups, and instead of having a straw, what they had was a cap that that pointed up like a nipple, like a baby's bottle, and then people would just simply like wrap their lips around it and suck on that top, and it's like making everybody do that, and it's kind of like a little childish, like let's all like little babies and
Yeah.
stuff walking around.
Yeah. You're not responsible enough to handle a straw. So have a sippy cup instead.
Yeah, it's because those mugs, they have the mugs where
Uh-huh.
you flip the top, that one part of the top, and it acts as sort of kind of like a,
Mhm.
well, they're kind of doing that, and then they center it in the middle, and I looked at that and stuff. It's almost like just it's got no oomph
Yeah.
to say, not it's got no, it's like castration
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah. But then again, we get back to the paper straw thing for just a minute. I'm
Yeah,
kind of glad to see them.
yeah,
I'm kind of happy to see that come back because I'm here to tell you what I remember my childhood
yeah.
trying to drink a McDonald's milkshake through one of those paper straws. That'll make you grow up real fast. I mean, you that's how you can tell how old a kid is. I mean, it's almost enough. The suction you got to put on one of those paper straws to get anything to come out of it and hope like heck it doesn't collapse. It'll make your head go narrow trying to
Yeah.
get it. So I'm just for that only. I'm glad to see the paper straws come back. Now, if these geniuses would just quit putting them in plastic wrappers, we'd be all set.
It's
What's the
so
matter?
ridiculous. No, it's not ridiculous. Let's be fair.
Did
We don't I don't know from my I'm going to be fair. I don't know from my vantage point that the amount of plastic that is or potentially is problematic. I know what I hear
Mhm.
and see every now and again. So from my vantage point, it seems like a silly little thing because, heck, well, you know what? That's not, if I
You know,
really think about it, I am literally surrounded more things, but I've got plastic galore all around. Like I have
Yeah,
plastic. I have petroleum based products all
yeah,
freaking around me
yeah.
right now. So just
The,
multiply that. So
the,
I
de-
can
the
see.
devices we're communicating on, the keyboard in front of me, the chair I'm sitting on,
Yeah,
the coffee cup I'm drinking out of. So I get it. I
yeah.
really do understand. But here's the weird part. Am I the only one who has noticed that all the plastic straws that they're going to war with were wrapped in paper, but all the paper straws are coming wrapped in plastic? What the hell's going on, gang? You can't swap one plastic for another. How about wrapping the paper straw in a paper wrapper? That works. It was good enough for a plastic straw. Why is it not good enough for a paper straw? Come on, use your head.
And you know what people don't notice, and I don't know if this is true for the rest of America. Sorry, for the rest of America, that here in Miami, I don't know if this is if they're doing this, but apart from the straw thing, we are watching out for global warming because all of our food is served cold as hell.
Yeah,
So
depends on
they're
how long
cutting
you have to sit at the drive-through, but yeah,
they're cutting down on the energy usage because your fries come cold. I
yeah,
mean, everything's, you know what, man? Everything after frickin' what do you call it? The pandemic
uh-huh.
appears to have gone like a worse snapshot, like a it's a worse sort of copy, copy of what used to be prior to it.
Mhm.
Just about a lot
Yeah,
of stuff. I'm not gonna say everything, but just about a lot of stuff seems like like the Xerox machine
man.
is
I
printing on low ink.
Now I can't I can't speak for your area, but I can tell you that in this area it is getting better. But yeah, when the restrictions started getting lifted and things started opening up, it
Yeah,
was a circus. I mean, you would not be surprised at 7 in the morning to pull up and watch all the employees show up for work, all getting out of the same car, like the
yeah.
clowns in a circus. But it is getting better. Service is getting better. People are settling in. People are getting used to being back out to normal again,
Hmm.
the guy that cut me off is flipping me off as he passes by me again, and everybody's happy. So, you know,
I don't
uh,
see it like that here. Maybe it's me
mhm,
perceiving more
yeah.
and maybe more in the wrong direction or the negative. I don't know what the I haven't sat down. Maybe I wouldn't see as much if I were younger
Mhm,
and had less like the tires
yeah.
tires were less worn. But to me, it seems like everything is freaking going to heck.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you're looking at. Just day to day life, getting around, doing what have you. To me, it's getting back to the way it was before, just in my limited experience. But again, I'm in a small town, in a small county, in a jerkwater part of the country. So, I gave up big city life, and I'm glad I did.
Well,
Uh,
us here in the big city, Mark, where we get things like where we have our we know what we're doing here in the big city in the metropolis. I can
mhm,
tell you right now
yeah,
that stuff rolls down.
yeah, it does.
This is this no, to be honest with you, um, huge metropolises
Yeah,
are not. You have to like it.
yeah.
You
And
have
I
to like, and
don't. That's why I don't live there. I've
yeah,
done it.
and it's weird, dude. It's really it's good, and it's good for access,
Hmm.
but be careful because that access thing is, you don't I don't enjoy half the things that like 90% of the things that you're able to access here. You don't enjoy it because you're just like, I'm not gonna deal with
Right.
traffic and all that.
That's the main thing. You're not the
Yeah,
only one with access. Everybody has access. Everybody wants access. So everything you do in a big city is competition. You got to get there. which means 14 people are going to try to get ahead of you to be the first one at the red light.
Oh
And
yeah.
then 76 people are all fighting over the same parking spot. And then pretty soon, everybody else is trying to grab that loaf of bread off of the shelf. And then everybody's trying to check out at once. I'm just not that competitive anymore. I like the slower pace of life of a smaller town, and I think I'm going to keep it that way. So, for
Well,
those of you just joining us, you didn't hear the message. We've changed our format. We're no longer doing the audio portion. We're going to include you in the conversation. So, Jerry Brown, what the what? That the that. So,
no.
yeah, I give me a small town over a large town any day. I much prefer it. There was an old joke going around where if I were to fall over in Los Angeles and die on the sidewalk, people would just step over my body. But down here in the little town I live in, if I fall over and die on the sidewalk, they'll still step over me, but they'll go, "Damn, that was Mark." You know,
At least, right?
exactly. So, so no, you didn't get the memo, Dan? Keep up. Welcome to today. So,
So, what do you guys out there think about the
yeah,
removal of plastics? And what are your thoughts on the removal of plastic straws and reduction in plastics altogether and being replaced by alternatives such as the nipple cup, which is plastic in itself? So you have to think about that. And then we have, yeah, the paper straws. What do you guys think about that?
I'm,
Good,
I'm,
good idea or not?
yeah, I'm all for bringing back paper straws. They worked for years. I, I, I can, I can see the point about trying to eliminate as much plastic waste as possible. I really do understand because it's like we were just saying, it's a silly, simple thing. How much plastic waste is a straw? One straw isn't any. 100 million straws is a ton or more. It's several tons, literally speaking. So I can understand that. And I'm I'm one of those I'm one of those people who believe don't urinate in the pool, but we can still get in the water. So if it can be done without all that stuff, then I say do it. Do it.
But we can't. Um, in reality, the attack on the straw itself, the straw wars, um, is a drop in the bucket
I agree.
when we think of all the other items that are not only available but coveted on a continuous and repetitive basis. The love affair with plastics or petroleum based everything is um, an addiction that's been going on since the turn of the
The,
century, the
yeah,
turn
since
of
the
the last century.
Industrial Revolution. Yeah. Steve Nealon there at Harnio Media says, I think it's a bunch of idiots trying to have a cause. There's a lot of that. There is absolutely a lot of that. There are a lot of people that have to be outraged about something, and this is easy because it really is. It's easy to say no plastics in the ocean because who in their right mind is going to go, no, let's look at the other side of that. Maybe there is a benefit to a bunch of plastic garbage in the ocean. Nobody's going to. So it's safe. It's a safe cause to rally behind. I just
Yeah,
don't. I just don't see I don't like the selective moral outrage about it. You know, when you watch somebody open up their paper straw and throw the plastic wrapper on the ground, it's like, really? Really? You think that just by using a paper straw, you've done your part? Put it in your back pocket, you moron. You know,
I don't. You'll have to tell me better. But if I think back, um, when I was a kid, we did have plastic for a long time. But I remember, obviously before my time, but I do remember back in the '80s, a lot of it with groceries, it changed at some point in the 80s, but in the beginning,
Yeah.
there was a lot of paper bags, and then there
Mhm.
was the option.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, plastic overtook with the little plastic bag.
Yeah.
You
Do
know?
you remember the conversation about that? About why the switch to plastic bags and why that was so much better? Because it was saving millions of trees.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's what it was. It was to save the rainforest and save millions of trees worldwide by using plastic instead of paper.
And look what happened.
Yeah. Now, there's several local grocery stores around here that have gone back to paper, and I'm fine with that. You know,
I
I
don't.
I grew up with paper sacks. I mean, you know,
In
yeah,
Europe, there's places where you have to, or maybe most places, you have to bring your own sack or
yeah,
bag.
and this is one of those states. Dan Harhughes says trees grow back 100%, Dan. And the thing that they seem to forget is the good portion of those trees are raised for that purpose. They're poplars and cottonwoods that are. I mean, if you saw some of the paper plantations they have up here in Oregon, you'd know what I was talking about. They raise them until they're about, oh, maybe 6-inch trunk diameter is the largest. And they are packed so dense together that a, a rabbit or a squirrel or chipmunk can't get through it. I mean, they are jam packed together. And then they'll come through with the machinery and they'll clear cut the entire area, rip out the stumps, replant, and in 5 years go back and cut again. They grow the fastest growing tree they can so they can
I will push
harvest
back a
quick.
little. It's not a pushback, but it's a deviation. But yet, Dan said trees grow back,
Yeah.
and obviously the process is chopping them down and whatnot. Um, Although this is a little bit of a exit road, but maybe it loops right back around. I do want to mention that when we're talking about things like that we consume, that we use for production
Mhm.
and for bettering our lives, um, you know, we have the ability to replenish by planting new trees and whatnot and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but there's this whole area of people, ideology, that they think the same way with with human
Well,
beings, and
yeah,
um, and we're talking about the eugenics type people, um,
yeah,
and the way you're thinking about replenishing and the way we look at objects and things and stuff, and there's people out there that think the same way about people, and a lot of these very same people that are worried about the environment. You've got normal people that are very worried about the environment, and then you have the other extreme of the spectrum, where not only are they worried about the environment, but they've got a solution. And you're part of the problem. So there's
well,
all these types of people that you can be
well, sure,
caring, and then you can be an exaggerator to the extreme.
sure. There's extremes on all sides. I mean, some people want to let it go back to nature, and other people don't know what nature is. So, you know, just to go jump in back in here real quick. Jerry Brown says, "Aren't the straws about sea turtles?" That's one of them. That's one of the things that they're about. The other
What
is
is it?
just the amount about the sea turtles
What about them?
choking on them and this, that, and the other.
Oh, and in the nose I've seen as well.
Yes, and in the you know, and okay, legit. And I see that if there's, I don't know, I'm one of the old school guys that believes if there's another way to do it, then do it. You know,
We can
it's kind of
always
like
have a
everybody's now all of a sudden concerned with plastic bottles. What happened to glass? Glass works great. Well, the
we
problem
can
is glass is expensive. Yeah, I get that, but there are
we can
ways around that.
we can have a big fountain in the middle of your McDonald's or your Burger King, and you just come to it and you cup your hands and you slurp on it, and it's just one huge receptacle, one huge
Hmm.
fountain that's like, and it spews out Coca-Cola. You can have three or
Well,
four, and the ice cream machine as well,
they
and you just dip your hands in the ice
they
cream.
have something similar to that. You've seen those Coke machines where you push the button and
Hmm.
it's okay. I want Coke. Okay, do you want cherry Coke, peach Coke, vanilla Coke? You got 15 different flavorings you can put in your Coke now on one machine.
No, but you're missing my point.
So they've got something similar to that already, but it doesn't run all the time because it
No,
wouldn't stay
you're missing.
carbonated.
No, you're missing my point. The point is that instead, so that to minimize any impact on the environment, you condense it to just one object where the people that come to your restaurant convene around the fountain and then just
Yeah.
slurp it up and the saliva dripping and oh my cigarette butt fell in the thing and the other one with the this
Wait,
and that.
wait. You smoke in restaurants?
You know what? So
Yeah.
I'm taking it to the absurd
Yeah.
because at some
Well,
point, although that's the absurd, a communal fountain, no more any type of container because
well,
we want to protect the thing. Any extreme to the extreme to the extreme, there are
but
people that want to take it to that extreme.
but there's
At the end of every reasonable, there, it's not the end. It's even further.
but there are certain people who will only the best way to illustrate absurdity to them is to be absurd yourself. So, you know.
Yeah, that's. But
So,
it never works.
wait, it does more often than you might think. Now, Dan
Not to the
Hardy says
not
selective cut to prevent your crazy fires and pulp that. They do that. They've been doing that since I've been alive. But certain groups have gotten involved in politics here, and a lot of that has been prevented. The majority of the timber that comes out of Oregon now is raised on private lands. The overwhelming majority, and like the paper pulp with the cottonwoods and the poplars and stuff, that's 100% on private lands because there's no way the state would allow them to do that. You even say the words clear cut, and I mean the out come the pitchforks and torches. So
let me just finish what I was when you had said what you did. I don't know that people get the point very well, especially when they're because these extreme people, you can show them an obvious thing that's obvious to you, but they never get it.
and that's why I say you have to illustrate their absurdity by being absurd yourself. So your fountain in the middle of Taco Bell pouring out Pepsi and Diet Pepsi right next to one another. That they'll get. So we should
No,
just remove all of the containers and we remove the paper cups, the waxed paper cups. We get rid of all of those. No ice. Forget about your ice. And we just have this fountain over here is regular and this fountain over here is diet. And you stick your head in it and drink your fill.
yeah,
You know,
I
just
don't know. From experience, I see that it doesn't matter what one says.
mhm.
The people on the fringe of the fringe of the fringe tend to it goes in one ear and the other. They don't
Mhm.
process the information
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. And there are extremists on all sides of the thing. So Dan says, I'm thinking you can pulp brush, maybe not even timber. Don't know. They, believe it or not, they use that for a lot of that goes into pellets for pellet stoves. And it's used for a lot of things. I mean, it used to be, I remember here, I'm in Softwood Lumber Country rather. And I remember going down to the mills and getting what they called peeler cores. And what it was they would put a whole tree, a log on this big lathe that cut veneer off of it for making plywood. And when they got it down to a certain point to where it was about maybe 4 inches in diameter, they couldn't do anything with it. So they would just grab it with a grapple and run it outside. And they had piles of these things and used to be able to go get peeler. They were called peeler cores. Used to be able to go get those for free and people cut them up for firewood. Well, then they discovered that they could grind that up and make OSB out of it. So that's what they're making with those peeler cores. Then they discovered they could make all kinds of nifty things with the bark. So there's not an ounce of waste that comes out of these because no matter how fine the sawdust is, They can collect it and make MDF out of it or masonite or whatever. So there's no waste that come out of these things. So let's see. Jim Dockrell says we have 3 forest firefighters running room from us right now. Well, hey, there you go. Ask my wife about that. Her ex-husband was a fire captain with the Forest Service. She spent 15 years of her life basically working with fire crews. So, see, Dan says, yeah, it's okay to say, oh, we effed up back 20, 30 years ago. So we're going a different way now. I see that, you know, I see that, it's just because it's the old way doesn't mean it's the worst way. Um, taking glass bottles back to the store for deposit and getting that 2 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents, whatever it was, they would take those. The distributors would come by and pick up all the Coke products, pick up all those bottles. They'd take them back, clean them out, sterilize them, and unless they were cracked or broken, they refilled them. And that was the soda you bought next week. I mean, it was in a small town like this, in all likelihood, you would drink out of the same bottle 2 or 3 times over your lifetime if it didn't get broken. If it got broken, then they sold the glass for scrap and it got made into other things, beer bottles and what have you. So let's see. Yeah, looks like Jim and Dan are having a little conversation about him renting out. Linda says, yeah, she used to cook for the whole fire crew, right? Jerry Brown says it was a dime when some of us were kids. Well, you got to remember, I was born in 1961. So I remember for the 16-ounce bottles of Pepsi or whatever, it was 3 cents. And then they were 28 ounces at the time. They weren't even 32 ounces. For the big bottles, you got a nickel. And then Oregon passed a law in, I want to say, the late 60s or early 70s. It was the early 70s when aluminum cans started taking off. All aluminum cans had a 5-cent deposit, and they made a 5-cent deposit on every bottle, no matter what size, whether it be glass or plastic. And they just recently, so this was the early 70s, they just, can't remember if it was 2020 or 2019, raised that deposit to a dime because people didn't care about a nickel anymore. They'd throw a bottle out the window. They didn't care about that deposit. So it wasn't reducing litter. But bumping it up to a dime, oh yeah. You see people walking down the street picking up bottles and cans now. So Jim Dockrell said there's no need for relish to be in a plastic squeeze bottle. Says who? What about the guy with one hand? I say, reduce where necessary. And we have a choice. We can buy the relish in the plastic squeeze bottle, or we can buy the one in the jar that we dig out with a spoon. And yes, you're right. Glass can be recycled indefinitely. Yeah. And I'm all for it. I'm a fan. Yes, it's heavier. Yes, it costs more to transport. Yes, you can get fewer into a truck. But that cost is passed on. I mean, if my Miracle Whip comes in a glass jar and it's now $2.40 instead of $2.30, no big deal to me. So keep personal squeeze bottles at home and fill them up. Why? You have a choice. Okay, but you have a choice is what I'm getting at. If you don't want to buy a plastic bottle, don't buy a plastic bottle, buy the jar. But see, I think the market will decide those things. If it's no longer profitable for them to make the plastic squeeze bottle, they won't. So it's, I don't know. I'm a free market kind of guy. But I think telling a manufacturer you can't make it in a plastic bottle, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. Yeah.
You know what I think would be a good idea now that I've watched this interaction, because
What's that?
this is because you're talking to the crowd out there, and I'm sitting here and you're having but there's no response except what if we were to, and I'm just thinking out loud here,
Okay.
do an open uh like a call in, so we'd link publicly,
Uh-huh.
and then they'd be sitting in the green room on whatever topic that might come in the future, if we have a set topic or two topics or whatever, and that they can interact physically being here, and saying what their thoughts are and stuff, and whatever
Okay.
conversations occurs. It's just an idea, like a
Okay.
call-in show kind of.
I
We
like
still-
that idea. I just don't know how we would do it. Is there Dan says, is there beer in the green room? No. There's whatever you bring with you. How would we do that? Where would we put the link? Because we would have to go back and remove it. Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of people trying to jump into, StreamYard things
Well,
that
they
are
have
done
no
and over with.
they have no control. They have to wait for you to click them into the show. They'll sit in the green room. How many
Right.
people? How many people
Okay.
can sit in the green room?
I don't know. I know we can have 10 on camera at one time,
That's an interesting
but
thought.
now what we could do is we could put it in the description.
No, we can link it in the chat.
Well, what I'm getting at is we could link it because once it's in the chat, it's there forever. But if we put it in the description, we can go back after we're done and take it out.
No, we can put it in the chat and remove it.
No, once it's in the chat, it's there.
No, you can remove your links and anything that you want. You can remove other people's comments.
Okay.
You can remove everything in the chat.
Well, I know we can remove other people's comments, but
yeah, because the thing is
now, the only thing I have, I have put user in timeout or block user. I don't have remove the comment.
What, you can't remove?
No, you can't remove a particular comment. I've got put user in timeout or block user, and I'm not out to do that. Yeah, Dan, you may be right. You are one step from this week's guest panel. We're trying a new format. Basically, what we have done is we have decided that the audio portion of the podcast is kind of, it's not going anywhere. So rather than put all the work he and I were putting into it, we've decided to go ahead and just stop doing the audio portion, just do a weekly thing and include you guys in it for all of it. So we're going through growing pains right now and trying to figure out the best way to have you guys interact with us, because, you're right, Eloy. It was me and Jim having a back-to-back and not including anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. You were doing something.
No. I'm looking to see. Yeah, because I've seen other shows that do that, and they just put it in the chat.
Now you can do it in YouTube if you're a moderator for that channel. If you happen to be logged in over on YouTube, on the Trampled Underfoot name.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, because when we set up a show, it doesn't matter. I've seen other people do it, other shows do it, and it is what it is. You put it there. Once it's done, they can't go in anyhow. Once you
the link stays active, but there's nothing there. They can't do anything. But I don't know if it's a potential backdoor to the StreamYard account or not. So I don't know. If you want to try it, we can try it. If you want to try it, we can put a link out there, and if
it's an idea, so that way they interact. If we have a topic, like, I don't know, whatever that might be, we're pondering this live on air because we don't. There's no set nothing, as far as our new. But if we're gonna have interactions with people,
Mm-hmm.
um, like this, and like let's say, I start having a conversation with the people, and you're sitting there waiting, like I was, we have to attend the people,
I
but
get your point.
yeah, so I'm thinking if we had people that were interested in expanding on it, as opposed to maybe because some comments are just a comment, like an addition, and other comments are no, I want to interact more. So maybe some people would be willing to. I don't know. Maybe people won't be willing to, but maybe that'll be a good
Oh,
thing to try.
I know
In the
some
future.
folks would. Some folks definitely would. Um, let's see. Dan says you can't set it to allow requests to join the call like Zoom. They're working on that, but they don't have it yet.
No. What
So
happens now is that if you come in, like let's say the link is active and you click to go in, you wait in the green room, and then it's us that control the
who comes
station.
on? Yes.
We get to click you in or not and stuff, and if not, you sit in waiting. I know because I've done a few debates um in some other channels
Uh-huh.
where they make you sit in until it's your turn, and then they pop you in, and then you appear on the thing, and you
Hmm.
have your discussion, this and that, and then they exit you once it's done. So
Yeah.
it's an option, it's an idea.
And Dan says you might need a delay. I get where you're going, and right now there is really no way to delay it. I mean, there's a 30-second lag between StreamYard and YouTube, so there is that. But that does not give us time to go in and stop it from going on YouTube. Once it's there, it's there. You know, um, and you can go back in and you can edit it after the fact, but if it goes out until you go over there and edit it. So
Well, what do you, so we're not going to necessarily allow a stranger unless, I don't know. I don't know
stranger
because
danger, stranger danger.
if it's just some random person that we've never interacted with, you know, we would need some rules, but nothing is stopping them from saying some crazy stuff.
Right.
Um, that breaks certain rules of
Yeah.
YouTube.
And Jerry, that's true, but you and I both know that even though it's an adult world, not every adult acts like it. So yeah, you know both of us. Yeah. So what do you want to do? Do you want to invite some folks in? And
Oh, you want to try it? Now, I was just throwing the idea out there. We could
yeah, I
do
know.
it. We could post we could try it one time. We could, hell, we could if we don't like the whole show, we could
We can delete the whole thing. Yeah. Set it
yeah.
to unlisted and then
You
go
want
in
to
and
try
edit.
it just for the heck of it?
We can do it if you want.
All
Sure.
right, I'm gonna put link it, and let's see how that works. So no, if you, no cussing and whatnot, just
Yep.
be nice. Um, and here comes the link.
Jim Dockrell says he refuses to grow up. Evidently, he's a Toys R Us kid. Dan
Obviously,
says
this is all
he's not
experimental.
dressed, so same as always, right, Dan? Stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. Oh, so that guy with the wearing the hockey mask, carrying the chainsaw, walking down the street, it was okay to pick him up. Hmm. So, thanks for hanging out with us and letting us figure this out on the fly. I mean, this is kind of actually new, but I see your point, Eloy, and it's a good one because, I mean, Jim and I can sit here and have a private conversation and me address the chat and leave you sitting there with your face hanging out going, huh?
Yeah, because the situation is that you have two live people here
Uh-huh.
with the ability to, and then you have to talk, interact, moment by moment, and then you have all these comments popping up. And if
Yeah.
we're going to address, this is kind of like your show that you
Uh-huh.
do on Sundays,
Yeah.
where you just sit and address the thing. Well, that's another type of sort
Yeah.
of way of doing things.
But the difference is it's just me. You know, I
Right.
don't have a co-host, and I don't have anybody else to kind of act as a filter. I mean, Steve is there in the moderator's role, and he's there for as long as he can be.
Well,
But he's got other things going on, so I understand that. But
the idea would be to interact. And before we got somebody in the green room. Just let me finish this thought. The idea is to interact with a topic or variety of topics, and then when people, and then we grab information from people as we go, and we talk, interact with them, but but we can't just do that.
right, understood. And you're
Yeah.
right. I get passionate about that thing when you start talking about managed forestry.
All right, so we're gonna bring in our first ever, or well, ever, yeah, our first ever guest after we
No.
stopped doing the other
Oh,
part.
okay, yeah.
All right, welcome.
First guinea
Hey,
pig.
first guinea pig.
This is cool.
Yeah, it is. This is Dan Haryu. For those of you who don't know, he runs a country bed shop in Massachusetts. Excellent stuff.
This is
by the way.
backwards. Oh, I got to get used to this backwards thing. Here it is.
Yeah.
What's going on,
Yeah,
Dan?
so this is a little better than screaming at the chat. You idiot.
You idiots.
No, I never say that.
Oh, no.
I usually listen over there, and then I'm like, let me get over there and just type something. And I go back to what I'm doing.
So, what are your thoughts on the plastic straw? I don't know if have you run across the plastic nipple drinking bottle
I'm going to find
as
that.
opposed to the straw?
I'm going to try to find that
Nipple
picture.
drinking. Oh, you mean like the water bottle where you can pop the thing? Like,
So that's the one we're used to, that we buy at Walmart or whatever. But there's a meme going around where it's like an icy / coffee icy, and instead of having the thing where you put the straw in, the actual top is like a little cone that goes up into a nipple.
it's made of
And then
paper or
they-
plastic?
Plastic.
Well,
And
I
they
got
expect
I
people
got I got the picture here. Let me screen
Okay.
share here, and take me a second to get back over to it. Boing, there it is, right here.
Ooh, that's rather
to
erotic.
put that, make that bigger. So
Well, I'm gonna try to do just that.
Me latching up to my cold brew.
What am I doing here? How come it's not getting
Oh, I don't know. I mean, does that cut back
Getting
on
smaller.
plastic? Does that
That
reduce
top-
plastic?
that top piece that you're looking at there, that little that's protruding out,
Sure.
that's attached to the actual top, and you're supposed to wrap your lips around it,
All
get
right.
a good grip, and then suck.
I don't know. I think that's. I mean, yeah. If the cover's not on, is it going to tip? You're getting a dribble cup.
And
I don't think that's going to catch on. I think that's going to go away.
did it have? Nobody's addressed the fact that these things never seal right.
Right. You know, half the time I
You
get
put
it
one of
stuck.
these, yeah, if they put it on right,
Right.
and you tilt it a little bit, it's still going to leak from through here.
No, I mean, with that, I mean, you're familiar with like the coffee cup type lid that has the little sip hole over on the rim, out on
Yeah.
the side. You know,
Yeah.
that's infinitely better than that thing, from what I can
Yes.
see. I would think if you're trying to suck that cup crushed to get everything out, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Unless it doesn't go down into the bottom of the cup, does it? It's like an inverted straw shape.
Oh, that's
No.
a good question.
No, it's not. It's just
All right.
rolled over at the top so it
that
doesn't cut
seems
you.
like a tip and sip type of deal, and that seems
Yeah.
really dangerous.
It-
When you
it's
have
just-
it out on the rim, you can tell when the cup lid is unseated. But I
You have
think
to
in
get
the
it like
middle,
this.
when you're in the middle, yeah, it's like a two-handed deal too. I can't see how I'd work that.
It's the thing. The point remains, it's a toddler sippy cup. You
Yeah.
give this to your 2-year-old. You
But
know,
they offset them. You never see that in the middle of a toddler's cup. They offset that sipping part.
for a reason.
Yeah, 'cause it's easier.
Well, wait, you're right. In the middle, it's kind of not productive whatsoever.
No,
You're liable to spill.
Some fucking plastic company's owner's kid who wants to be an engineer came up with a stupid idea, and they've made thousands, and then it's going to go away.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think you're right. I think it's going to go over like a lead balloon.
But I'm all for reducing the plastic output in any way we can. I think it's
You
I
know
think
what?
I feel
think
bad
if
when I
you
throw so much of it away because I don't recycle it all. There's no way. I mean,
Same here.
it's impractical, and I don't know what the actual percentage of effectiveness is of recycling, but I'm assuming it's pretty low compared to the output of
They just,
plastics and what's
dude,
actually recycled.
they put it in a truck. When you don't see anything, they go around the bend and they back up on the ocean and they just throw it in there. That's what
Well,
they
yeah,
do.
that's fucked up too.
And they anchor it with some heavy weights that they get from the YMCA with a net, and they just sink it to the bottom.
Right. See, that's the problem with the Earth as a whole. If you dig a hole somewhere, well, you're eventually going to end up with a pile somewhere else because conservation of matter kind of thing. So it's got to go somewhere eventually.
Yeah.
If you're not keeping
does.
it indefinitely, then it's ending up on the surface or at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
Now, this slightly changing topics, just slightly though. When we lived in Nevada, there was a big to-do about nuclear waste being stored in a place called Yucca Mountain, about 100 miles outside of Las Vegas. And it's open and it's running. It's the Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository. And there were a whole bunch of people that came up with a whole bunch of different ideas. And I had one. Tell me if I'm crazy. Start testing yesterday. Start testing containers that will withstand an explosion. Put the nuclear waste into these containers. Have Elon Musk send that sucker up and lob it at the sun.
Okay.
So we'll have containers.
It would burn to a cinder before it ever reached the sun.
Sure. It's a huge cost though to.
But why do that when we can just pour it in the ocean?
Okay.
For profit. For profit.
That's why you do if you're hauling waste to the sun, basically you're an intergalactic trash man. That's cool.
Well, there's a Swiss company, and leave it to the Swiss to come up with this. There's a Swiss company that will build a satellite to go up and grapple your dead satellite up in space and bring it back down and burn it up in the atmosphere, land it in the ocean.
Huh.
Well, the pieces remaining in the ocean. And they do it for profit. It's expensive as heck.
Back to my point of if you dig a hole somewhere, you're going to have a pile somewhere. If we're suddenly digging holes and shooting all of that matter off planet, we're going to run out of material here.
Well, wait a second.
Eventually, you're taking it, chucking it all into space.
Right. Okay.
So, it's not here anymore for us to use in any facet at all. So that ash coming back down to the surface makes more sense than just shooting everything into the sun.
Okay.
For a long
there's
term.
also the question. There's also the question of
abstractly
the energy that we're expending to send that stuff up. But the question is also how much of that stuff are we producing?
Not much.
We're not producing much?
No, there's not much. I mean,
of what? Of radioactive?
Radioactive waste.
Not much.
Spent fuel rods from nuclear power plants and what have you.
I'm sorry, just this whole thing about the spent fuel rods, did you see the new diamond battery technology that they're working on to use that?
I've heard rumblings, but I've not.
Interesting. It's come across my feed a few times, and I went and looked at it. But they're taking the carbon-14 and making those synthetic diamonds out of that radioactive carbon-14, and then encasing that within non-radioactive diamonds because it's hard and it'll hold it, and then it still becomes like a wrap of that and I think some other shielding metals or something, and it looks like it could be a really good battery power source. 28,000 year life on the battery.
Jesus. Well,
28,000.
That kind of dovetails in with what Jim Dockrell was saying here. How about find a way to use nuclear waste? I'm all for it.
Go look up that diamond battery technology. It's fascinating.
I'm all for it.
And if they're only a couple years into this now, but that company is out of California that's spearheading it, invest there. That would be the place to go.
And I'm telling you, that's one thing I like about, I was just saying I'm a free market guy. That's one thing I like about the free markets. If there's a need for something, somebody brilliant is going to invent a solution for it.
I was reading the company's looking at buying decommissioned nuclear plants that are just sitting now with those rods in the ground, because then they have close access to the material they need.
Yeah.
So, and those plants are just sitting there costing mostly taxpayers, I would think, unless they're privately owned companies, money to maintain over that time. So it seems to make a lot of sense if it's a viable technology.
Yeah. If it works and if it's safe for the average consumer, then
right.
sure.
They say it's really like the output is pretty low, and when it's encased in these other diamond, it's negligible. You get more from the sun. So, but of course they're going to say that because they're manufacturing these things, so you never know. But I'm watching it to see how that shakes out, because that would be great if you didn't have to buy a rechargeable battery ever again. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That would put the rechargeable battery business out of business.
No, they'd still be making them. Maybe a long time to cycle through and replace every battery on the planet.
But not only that, but you know how that goes when the technology is new. It's outrageously priced, and you and I can't afford it, but we're still going to need those rechargeable batteries.
Yeah.
So until the price comes, $100 a double A, forget that noise.
I don't know. I still might get one for Christmas or something.
I mean, look at how long it took for the switch over to LED lights. When they first came out, it was like $75 for a bulb, and it's like, no way. And now they're pennies. So
well, they changed that LED technology quite a bit.
Right.
That developed. You get those yellow filaments in there that are little squares or rods. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it's all about, but they physically changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years. So
yeah. Let's see here. Jerry Brown had a couple things here. And we have theories of matter burning up on the way to the sun. However, we do not have empirical data on what that would have as an effect on the sun. The sun is a giant nuclear reaction. What's it going to do? Contaminate it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. And we do have empirical data on what happens to the sun when foreign matter hits it. It absorbs it. It burns up. It never reaches the surface. NASA has sent several probes that have gotten within a certain distance of the sun and done studies and what have you, and then they purposely flew it into the sun, and it burned up and destroyed the satellite, but it never reached the surface. Can't withstand.
Can I say a couple things about your new format and some tips, being the first guinea pig here?
Sure.
Anybody that comes in to do this, if you're watching it over on another YouTube screen, mute that before they pull the trigger on you, because I had 2 running. Second is there is a delay between this conversation we're having right now and what's going out on the YouTube stream, because I was trying to watch it over there and interact here, and I was like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
So it was a little delayed.
You want to watch yourself here and watch yourself live over there?
Well, the reason I wanted to watch that over there is I can't see the chat from this immediate interaction window.
Yeah, if you look over to the right where it says private chat, right next to it should say comments.
Bingo.
I'm sorry.
It was like I was missing everybody now. I couldn't see what Jim was saying, and so okay, cool. Okay. All right, so there's tips for future guests.
So do you think this is a viable thing if we have a couple of topics or whatever? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think you should try and get guests we don't know.
Yeah, I'm open to that. We've talked about that before. About getting guests on and talking about various and sundry subjects, and that's one of the reasons why we stopped doing the audio is because the audio portion is because neither of us have time to devote to it that it deserves.
If you're looking for more interaction and for more viewers, I mean that the open format podcast just sort of people come in.
We're not looking for more viewers.
Well, okay,
necessarily.
It'd be great to have them, but I mean, that's not
Yeah.
the end game. The end
Well,
game is
you know,
to
if
have
you're looking
fun.
for more interaction, you know, then that's the way to go. I mean, it's probably gotten stale for you two. You've been doing this for so
We
long.
don't know
with
what
each other.
we don't know what we're looking for. We don't know what we
Right.
want.
Yeah, but
We're
see,
not-
you're looking for something different, so that means that probably the old format is starting to get stale for you because you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And probably, you know,
There's some of that.
if you don't know exactly what's going to shake out because you're having someone that we haven't talked to this guy outside of a little bit of conversation here and there, and we're going to talk about whatever. If you want to talk about plastics in the ocean, you got some whack job who's in college and just studying this shit.
I did try.
To talk to you about it.
Mark got not solicited, but he got well, it was kind of a solicitation. He was messaged, and the person wanted to book, or their booking person wanted to book, and it had to do with either reptilians or something like that.
Flat Earther. It was a flat earther, wasn't it?
No,
It
no.
was a reptilian.
This was a few years ago. This was a guy who was an expert on reptilians.
Was it the reptilians?
So-
It was a flat earther guy.
So
I remember
what ends
talking.
up happening is that we have a conversation behind the scenes, and I said, and Mark said, well, you know, I mean, this whole thing, you know, I mean, this guy, who knows what great, he's just looking for this and that, and who knows what. I said, you know what, screw it, let's do it if you don't mind. And I thought in terms of, yes, we're gonna have some crazy person, or possibly, we can't judge necessarily, but we have an idea.
I can.
And and then the interaction would be a brand new thing.
Let me ask you this: Are
That
these going to
people
be?
people would have exposure to, they'd be exposed to, and it would be an interesting thing. But we already had a certain format and stuff. Now we don't know
Let me ask
necessarily.
you this about this current one that you're doing right now. Is this like the old way that you're going? We're doing it right now, but you're not going to release it officially until. You know, 'cause
Oh
you-
no,
It's live.
no, it's live and it's going to stay up on
this is what's
YouTube.
going on forever.
Yes. We're going to come up with a title for it tonight. Well, Eloy's already come up with it. He wants to call it Straw
I
Wolves.
just want to say hi to my grandkids then
Go ahead.
when they
Yeah.
exist. How you doing, grandkids?
Your great
Great
grandkids.
grades, sure, all of them.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's you know, it's going to be on the YouTubes for as long as there is a YouTubes. No editing, no nothing. You know, he'll come up with a thumbnail. I'll come up with a description. We both come up with a title.
All right, cool.
So then that's it.
We could, in theory, because this is kind of like a testing, putting your toe in the water and testing
Yes.
it out for. We could do all sorts of things, but if we had like a topic, and every now and it doesn't have to be one thing. It could be generalized, and we can have maybe a guest of interest on some sort of specific topic, and we could focus on that. Other times, maybe, you know, whatever topic. I mean, it can be organic with the
Sure.
ability to introduce some sort of interesting guest and stuff.
But it
That
doesn't
would
have
be
to.
neat.
But it doesn't have to be the same thing over and over. There doesn't have to be a
Right.
guest. There
Right.
doesn't have to be somebody from the crowd jumping in. There
Yes.
doesn't have to be anything. It can be
Exactly.
just, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. If my power goes out, it can be you. If your power goes out, it can be me. You know, and there you go. Jim
If
Dockrell's.
If both our powers go out, it could just be them.
Yeah,
Maker Show.
yeah. Jim
Just
Dockrell
sitting
says you
there.
could.
And the
Jim
man-
Dockrell says you could call it the Mad Maker Show. Jerry Brown, I am not ignoring you, believe me. We're talking about massive quantities that may cause irregular patterns of solar radiation that affects not
That
just
sun is
Earth,
huge. It would eat the whole freaking Earth if we shot it there.
It's just another thought to the mix, and it's a legitimate thought. You're right, because we don't know what would happen if we launched nuclear, and that's why I said, "Tell me what you think." Am I
I
crazy?
feel like we could throw the entire Earth at the sun, and the sun would win, and there'd be no
Yeah.
evidence of the Earth afterwards. Is it 108 times larger than Earth, or is it more than that?
I don't recall right off the top of my head, but it's something along those
It's
lines.
massive. It
Yeah.
is a big guy.
It's huge, and it's not a big star.
Nope. Oh, we could just shoot it to a bigger star farther away.
Yeah.
Because even
200
if
million light
you know,
years.
once you get it out in space, if you know the path and you can leverage maybe gravities of other celestial bodies to keep it on a path, the correct path, then you just have to give it a push.
Yep.
Right.
That's what I mean.
I
Kind
love
of
that idea.
lava.
I love that idea. You push it out into space.
But again,
And then
we're
300
ejecting matter
and then
from the
three-
Earth. We're going to
and then
run out of
300
matter.
and then 300 million years from now, in some sort of remote planet where people live, they'll look up in the sky, they're having their society, and they'll see these containers starting to come at them, and it starts to strike them in their major cities. I mean, you could flip that around. It could be us.
I remember a line from Mork and Mindy back in the day, Robin Williams talking about we've been watching your television we've been listening to your radio and watching your television for years. For 30 years, we thought Lucille Ball was Queen of the Universe. So, you know.
Well, that would be amazing too. Like, alien spaceships are crashing now on Earth, and we go there and they're like, oh, it's full of alien technology. And turns out it's all their trash.
Yeah, really.
You know, if we shot our trash somewhere else, people would be like, what's in this thing? Oh, what is it? You know, if they were a lesser civilization than us, we'd be all of a sudden dropping old MacBooks and stuff on their planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that trash doesn't even work anymore.
And to you lesser developed civilizations out there, the secret is to bang the rocks together, guys.
Let me mention something.
9 times wider than Earth.
Let me mention something. I don't know if you guys saw. Earlier today, one of our buddies in common that we may all have, or at least one of us or two of us may have, posted something on Facebook, and it was, he said, I'm paraphrasing, he said, I can't believe people. The government just said that we have, and I don't know if this is true or not, that they have mentioned that we do have aliens, that aliens do exist, and they've been interacting. It's become official now, and yet people could care less. Nothing surprises them. I read that meme and I didn't further investigate it. Did you guys hear something to that effect?
I didn't see that one.
Okay. I heard a little blurb on the news. We had to run into town earlier today. Heard a little blurb on the radio news talking about, for the first time publicly, people are addressing Congress about UFOs and aliens.
They've been dangling that out there for several months or a year now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the motivation is for that. So I don't know. I'm just waiting to see when it becomes so big that you can't ignore it. But right now, I'm just chalking it up as bullshit.
You know, it'll be settled when they land at like Yankee Stadium or something.
Well,
you know?
I guess. Yeah.
And there's a reason they're not landing.
1.3 million Earths could fit into the sun. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
So I think that if we were to launch our trash at the sun, it would have literally no impact to the surface of the sun, as you're saying. And anything that is residual, gassing off, that's not even an issue. The gas is going to be consumed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And Jerry says also it'll become a nonstop train of disposal if it becomes profit theory to send trash to the sun. Look at all the satellites out there.
Well, I think, the number one thing they'd be shooting off first would be that nuclear waste. They'd be like, there's just too much of this. It's too dangerous. So
plastics, yes, we need to figure things out soon. We are all a little crazy. Yeah, well, you got no argument out of me on that. And that's why I say it's just one of those things to throw out there. It seemed to me to be and this was a few years ago that I started thinking about this. So you know what? You make a good point, Jerry. We stopped sending TV and radio and started streaming on Facebook. The aliens turned right away. That's why they're not landing. They killed them off. Okay.
They canceled my favorite show. Changing the channel. I'm gonna go
really?
Well, do you guys believe in aliens? I can tell you right away, I do not at all.
Um,
Then
well,
again, I don't know.
theoretically, I have to, because if we go to another planet, we've proved aliens exist, right?
Okay, in those terms, but
So, yes.
not
In
of
that
this world
way, yes.
being.
Other worlds come in here. Don't know. I mean, it's one of those great unknowns. How big is the universe? I mean,
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being absolutely and 1 being less likely, where would you place that measurement of whether or not there's aliens or there's, organic creatures out there, intelligent organic creatures out there?
it really just hinges on whether you think that we are uniquely exceptional in the universe. So if we're the only ones, if you're on that stand of earthly exceptionalism, then you'd say no, there's nothing else out there.
Mm-hmm.
From the other way, the fact that we're here at all is just beyond freaking belief when you compare it to what we know. So you can't discount anything.
Right.
It's a hard. That's why no one's got an
Well,
answer.
measure it according to
What
your
happened when we
measurement.
died? Don't know, because nobody knows how the fuck we got here. Sorry, in the first place. So
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
from 1 to 10. I'm sorry, Mark. Let me just say
no,
again.
you're right.
I'm trying to draw from 1 as not likely to 10 likely. In that, according to your life experience biased, and your instincts biased, where would you land? If you're not willing to say a number, you're not willing to say a number, but that's the amount that you have to work with this little scenario of no, I don't believe it, all the way up to 10. Yeah, it has to be.
I've not found any limits to the spectrum of my belief yet, Eloy. So I'm not falling for this. Point yourself on this line spectrum. No,
Okay.
no,
No, it's not a falling for it. It's that if you give a measurement, if you give a scale, you know, and you give the options, you can opt out, which is what you're doing, but more or less people can say, well, sort of, kind of, so I'll sit here, sort of sit there. So you
I
can
can't
opt
do
out
that.
not to say it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I can walk down the street one day and think that there's no freaking way, and then the next day, for some reason,
Yeah. So you opt out of the thing.
It
And how about
depends,
you, Mark?
it depends on where you are at the time too, because
right?
there are times I'm walking down the street and I'm like, there ain't no way he came from Earth. People from Earth don't think that way, something like that. But I'm kind of I'm kind of partially in agreement with Dan, and I think that there needs to be an I don't know clause. But if you were to place me on that, I'm at about a 3. I really don't know. I think that if you look at the vastness of the universe, the likelihood that there's somewhere out there in that vast universe is another living creature. I think it's pretty egocentric for us to think that we are the only thing in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, we have no evidence to indicate otherwise. So I just don't know. I really don't know. I would say that it's possible. I don't know how likely.
Okay, that's fair. So, Dan, you could basically, with that opting out or that I don't know clause, that's basically where you're sitting as well, right?
Yeah, I have no problem saying I don't know something.
Right, you're sitting in that same. Right. So for me, like both of you, I'm in the no, I don't know clause. However, if I had to pick, I'd be on the lower end of the scale, maybe 3 to 1. And as far as what was the word you used, Mark? You used the word, you'd have to be
egocentric
to believe that, because we're so darn special and this and that. And I would say that there's nothing that we can point to to show otherwise.
I'm gonna
that it's
if I have like a bias, I'm re-examining your pressing for a leaning from me. If we have the spectrum and there's a middle and it's like no aliens, yes aliens, I would take one step towards yes, because I want there to be aliens. I want there to be something like that out there that we haven't discovered yet, that becomes revealed at some time. That'd just be fascinating. Much more fascinating than now. It's just.
I think it's pretty darn fascinating as it. So personally, I this is just my personal view. I know there's other views out there that are not mine, but I think that it's pretty spectacular as it is. And the argument that maybe we do not have enough advanced, technology, science to be able to glean those things, that may be true. But as it stands, according to everything we've seen, there's nothing.
Now,
So I
along
sit.
those
I'm sorry.
along those lines, Jerry Brown has a comment here. Tech advance I don't see as a natural progression. But if the Area 51 aliens are what they are basing our tech on, it's going pretty slow. So yeah, if we're getting all this new technology of ours from the aliens, it's taken us forever to develop.
Oh, come on now. If we were dumping our trash on another planet and they got a MacBook Pro that didn't work, how long would it take them to reverse engineer one that did work? Hundreds of years.
Okay, fair point.
So,
Fair point.
I mean,
Well, look,
we're not slow. I don't think.
I don't think we're slow either, but that's a relative measurement depending on perspective.
Sure.
If you think about our timeline, where we're sitting here today, we're talking through a computer, through like wires across
this was freaking Star Trek shit when we were kids.
Yep.
This is Star Trek, and yet at the same time, we're sitting in wood stick built homes.
We're in 3 corners of the country right now. 3 different corners of the United States.
Yeah, but the whole vehicle for us to do this still comes down to fire. The electricity generated is still based on boiling water.
Energy.
You have to boil water to create steam to spin the turbines, unless you happen to live next door to a hydroelectric dam or a nuclear power plant. But even a nuclear power plant relies on that heat to boil water.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are seriously advanced in some ways, but not so advanced in others.
It's true.
We need energy in order to.
The whole premise of this particular show is based on what do we do with our garbage. We still ain't figured that out yet.
Oh, wait, whoa. It's fire. I told you. I think I said this before. Just burn it. Burn everything.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to be said. Look at Sweden.
Burn it. You get energy out of that. You get the byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
You're not losing the physical matter. You can put that back in the hole you got out of.
Well, and Sweden not only burns.
You can get a real clean burn.
Sweden not only burns their trash, they take trash from Norway and burn it.
And they're not getting emissions out of those stacks. That's pretty much, I think, mostly water vapor.
Not the emissions that people think, because the way they're scrubbing technologies and what have you.
Gasification, where they actually burn the gases as well.
Right.
Come off. So.
Well, there's over 7 billion people on the planet, and that's exponentially higher than a decade ago, and that's even more exponentially. The further back we go, the less and less people we have. We have so many people. And I'm not putting a cap on it either way, but we have so many people that, compared to what we used to have, that we do more of everything, including creating stuff as well as leaving trash outside. So we do more of everything exponentially the further out we go. But there's studies that suggest that humanity, the baby production of humanity has slowed down.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of factors, economic factors, just all sorts of factors where families are reducing that due to the pressures, external pressures of the economy and other factors as well.
Well,
So
some
Hey, you
go
throw
ahead. Go ahead.
any living thing inside of a contained space, the contained space will only support so many of those living things. Goldfish bowl,
yeah,
aquarium, whatever. You can only have such a limit before they start to die off because of what they do to themselves, because they
That's
contaminate the
true.
environment.
But
Uh,
we're not there. We could double and even then some,
that's a
and
good
we still would have plenty and plenty and plenty of space. Now, mind you, um, currently we could fit everybody in the world. I mean, you've seen those maps, right? Where they show you if you took
the
everybody on Earth,
population. Yeah.
most of the Earth would be completely just abandoned, desolate, and the human population would be. Even though we have that huge number, and to us, from our perspective, 100 people is a lot of people. But from the size of the Earth perspective, sure, we do a lot of damage. But you know, why I'm saying that is because we should be careful. I think we should
You're
be
one of them
careful.
guidestone people who are trying to wipe us all out.
Exactly, exactly. We don't want to. We're not suggesting. Heck, we're human beings, and I
no.
think that's pretty darn. Yes, we do great and terrible things, but hey, you know what?
Well,
We're top dogs.
but we also develop further technology, and we also invent new things, and we also create new things. And believe me, there are people out there working on everything we've talked about today. There are people working on it, and somebody will eventually develop the answer. There will be a way to reduce the amount of plastics we use to a crawl, because it will be replaced by something else. I mean, Dan's talking about that battery technology. If that battery technology becomes widespread and comes down in price enough to where you and I can afford to buy it, I mean, that puts an end to the need for lithium mines and things like that.
I can't
So,
recall what the other. There's still some. It's not lithium, but there's still some shielding cores in there. I can't
well,
remember
sure.
what it was. I looked at it, but it's. I don't think it's. It's not like rare earth metals. I think it was more common metals.
Yeah.
That are probably
But
can be grabbed from recycling where we are now.
but even then, I've heard, and I don't remember where I read this. There are some scientists who say that the Earth is pretty close to running out of helium. The most common element in the universe, but we are using so much of it for refrigeration that for things like MRI machines and CERN, the Large Hadron
Yeah, there was a
Collider, and
thing
things
about
like
the
that.
cost of that going up quite a bit. Like
Hmm.
you see,
Because helium is getting more and more scarce. So
maybe that's our impetus for going off planet, because we can
that's
source
possible.
source that somewhere else. I don't know, rings of Saturn or something got helium in them. We'll go get it there.
Now, there are a few comments that we really should get to here, talking about us and our
It's
stewardship
really
of
hard
the
to keep
land.
up with the comments and talk at
It
the
is.
same time. I feel your pain
It
now.
it really is. Jim Docker says aliens lock the spaceship doors when they go by. Yeah, doors locked, windows up. Note that all the instruments designed to search for intelligent
I'm
life
going to
point
tap
away
out for a
from Earth.
second and make a coffee, and I'll come back. Let's try this and see if I can do it.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to
No,
leave.
go ahead. Go
What,
ahead.
what was that? What
Nobody
was
wants
that
to watch me
comment?
make coffee. Hold on, I'll be right back.
That comment was, note that all the instruments designed to search for intelligent life point away from Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we already know what's going on here, so we're
Yeah,
trying to figure out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jim Dockrell says Stephen Hawking put forth that aliens are very likely in even alternate universes. Physics almost demands it is so. Okay, well, like I say, the only way it's ever going to get proven is when they land at like Yankee Stadium or on the White House lawn or wherever.
Well, I agree with that. You said one time when we were having a conversation about something about this more or less, and you said that what was it? You said, well, how's that going to change anything for me? And I forget the actual, but it was some sort of like big situation scenario.
Mhm.
And according to what I read today in the comments over there in on Facebook,
Mhm.
people were oblivious to the fact that aliens are being talked about and they could give a crap.
Oh yeah.
So there is something to be said about
Yep.
humanity's lack of surprise.
Yeah, there is that. It's lack of surprise, and oh my God, I can hear the eye rolls. They're doing this again. Haven't we got more important stuff to talk about? That kind of thing. I can hear it. Oh God, here we go
Well,
again.
you know what it
You know.
reminds me of a little bit? It reminds me of like in the horror movies when
Uh-huh.
you see the teenage kids and then there's the horror guy that's about to chop them all to pieces. And
Yeah.
one of them thinks that he's playing around. So he comes up and he slaps him on the back and he says, "Oh, come on, buddy. Come on. You're so funny," and this and that. And then he gets hacked anyhow. Humanity kind of has that tendency to look at danger in the face and say, "Ah, yeah, big deal," in some instances.
Yeah, and other times, a lizard runs across the road, we want to blow it up. Not the lizard, the whole road. You know. Um, so Jim Dockrell says it wouldn't be the aliens that kill us; it would be the bacteria they carry that we have no resistance to,
Or vice versa.
and or vice versa.
Oh,
Exactly.
there we go. Yeah, see, we're on the same page.
But that does bring forth some interesting little questions. For number one, Jim Dockrell, did you ever see the movie The Andromeda Strain? Because that's what you just described.
I saw that, but it was years ago.
Yeah, it's an old movie. We're talking either late 60s or early 70s, about a space probe that comes back and there's a little speck of sand or something embedded in it, and that gets from a collision in space, and it's carrying some sort of a bacteria. Yeah, it's a very tense movie.
Before you move on, stepping off of that, there's a scientific paper that's not very good, but people are loving it, where they have discovered organic matter on a meteorite on Earth that crashed on Earth. They dug it up. Now listen to this. They dug it up. They found it. They took it and they examined it, and there was organic life occurring in it. And then it reads that life has been found in a rock meteor from space. And then people jumped. So you can see the problem here, right?
Yes.
Dan, do you see the problem here? So I'll just say this before the question which I just asked. The hope is that on this foreign item, non-organic item, life crashed into our planet, and from there the first beginnings of life occurred, and that solves the problem, doing away with all the suspect and so people are hanging they're like, yeah, that has to be it. But do you see the problem with it?
It's as credible as the other theories, as divine creation, and I mean, just a primordial ooze evolution seems really much harder to swallow than some sort of, the complexity being in evidence of intelligent design kind of thing. I think that's the second rule of physics or thermodynamic physics or some shit like that. It kind of, when you hold that against the Earth and what's going on here, it's incredibly complex, more complex than all the matter that's on the Earth. Life on the Earth is so much more complex. So you start to go, well, how the fuck did that happen? And more we understand, the more that question becomes, or it continues to be a head scratcher. So,
but the rock coming down, they find it. They find organic life on it.
Did this rock happen to be in like the Fertile Crescent in the Mediterranean? Because
I don't know. They pulled it from the Earth.
Because since all of our evidence is coming back down to that area, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so there's one thing I want to see if you guys capture from it. Mark, do you capture where the problem is?
I'm asking. Okay.
How's something going to live through the entry?
Okay.
Well, that's
Do,
one.
do you remember? It's been a few years back. I want to say 10, 15 years back. They thought they found on a piece of Martian meteorite, they thought they found organic life.
Right, little microbes.
Yeah.
But
But later it turns out that that was a transfer from something here that was not extraterrestrial life. It was something from Earth. Is that
okay.
what you're talking about?
Okay, so you and what Harju just said is perfectly exactly the point. That you just said, anything coming from space that has some organic stuff in it for it to survive, that's a but something that's sitting for it to survive is a big deal. Okay, I don't think so. But for it to crash land here and it be sitting on the earth with the humidity and the plant life and the stuff, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't.
I
So
do.
it was a sensational. So it's both of what you guys just said here at the end.
Well, there's no way for it to survive in space anyway, because, and in fact, I got serious into meteorite hunting for a little while down in Nevada. They warn you not to touch a meteor. If you see a meteorite land, they warn you not to touch it, not leave it, mark it and take pictures and do all this stuff, but don't physically touch it, try to pick it up or handle it. Not because it's too hot, but because it's too cold. Because the temperature out in space is almost, not quite, it's just a couple of degrees Kelvin above absolute zero. And that trip through the atmosphere, even though it's flaming and on fire, it is not enough to warm it up all the way through.
The core is still cold, and by the time it gets down here and gets through that initial burn off, it's cold again.
It's cold again, exactly. That's why they're saying leave it alone for a minimum of 7 days. Do not attempt to touch it. You can handle it with like pliers or whatever.
Fin mug.
So, fin mug, all right.
Fin mug, just for Jim.
So, very good, very good. I think
my other theory immediately was like it just popped off the top of a volcano somewhere and flew from here over to there. But
but the point is that it's not going to survive, that we're aware of. It's not reasonable that it's going to survive a entry into our planet. But then again, if something's sitting for so long on the ground on Earth that's conducive to all sorts of organic life,
was our atmosphere different? Was it easier to enter the Earth's atmosphere before it was formally or
okay, you're talking about way back when?
Way back.
Okay. So the atmosphere has gone through
were
several
the seeds for the dinosaurs. Who knows? But that would be pretty deep in the ground, wouldn't it? I don't know. There's a lot of holes in that one. I can't get on board with that.
But the thing that I was looking at, people were very hopeful, and willing to overcome any objections in order to believe that was a solution. And the thing is that people are looking for, at the end of the day,
one of those fake lottery tickets I buy at the joke store, and you're gonna get excited until I tell you. So,
well, yeah, they want, because they want an alternative to magic, let's say.
Well, I got a question for you on that subject, and that is, do you think that there are some things that we are just never going to know?
Oh, me personally, yeah, I'll be gone. But
I don't mean me personally. I mean mankind as a whole. Oh. Do you think we will ever have all the answers?
I hope not. It'd be boring as fuck.
There's no way we can even. There's no way that we, living in the cities and towns and hamlets that we do currently, even with our computer and internet connection and all sorts of everything, we are as good as, this is not an exaggeration, I'm talking about the big scheme of things, we are as good as if we were living in the 1200s, simply put. Now, that can be discarded, but I know what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking it, and I kind of tried to explain in the big broad picture, looking at humanity. We've this is a lot of stuff that we've got going on here. We are freaking ignorant as hell.
We have a much firmer grasp on physical science,
we're ignorant as hell.
but not
Okay.
on the big.
Well, no, because he mentioned
terrestrial
everything.
physical science. I think we have a much firmer grasp on than we did in the 1200s.
But Mark mentioned a very total inclusive sort of understanding of like just
everything.
time
Like,
understanding.
When it comes to understanding everything, yes, we're pretty ignorant. We're like a year and a half old kid, but that's still a hell of a lot better than a 2-month-old baby. We have learned more in the last 150 years than we knew in the previous 100,000.
Yeah. Now, see, I think like what's going on right now with the private space stuff and like crazy Elon over there, not Eloy, Elon Musk, and him pushing for space. I think he's on the right path. Like, we got to get out there to understand more of it. A, and B, from what we understand about how things work and matter and degradation, the Earth's time is finite. So if the human existence wants to go on at some point, way off in the future, we have to not be here anymore, because it seems like there's a terminal date for the Earth. It's whatever, how many trillions of years off, or 300 million, or whatever the heck it is. We want to be far away from that sun when that happens.
We will be.
Yeah. Well, we hope.
You and I will be. Yeah. Jim Dockrell makes a point here. People used to say stupidity comes from a lack of access to information. The internet kind of put that argument to rest. Yeah, it just made it easier to spread good and bad information.
Oh yeah, it's your own. You got to get out of your own fucking way with bias.
Yeah, that's true.
You read without making any real judgments, or just reading or whatever that conforms to your bias. If you look at everything objectively and on facts and how they hold up to reality, then you can parse out all this bullshit. But for a lot of people, it's just overload.
And that's why I've been saying for years not to trust any one source.
If you think of it like to take out all put it in another discipline. If you think about the first two, I guess, well, let's say the last century, not this last one, but the 1900 going into the 1900s, the 20th century. If you think about music recording technology, in terms of engineering, like to take it out of the realm of today compared to back when they first started with 4-track and whatnot. Today, I could sit here with a multitude of different compressors and processors that all fit inside of nothing, just a hard drive, and plug it in with some small devices, and I can do a whole production through here. And the options that I have are so expansive in what kind of reverb I want to use, and this and that. So we have this expanded sort of like ability to choose and this and that. So technology has, if you're leaning towards music, you have that ability. I will say, on the other hand, because you have so many options, sometimes people just freeze. Like, what compressor should I? And so you spend 5 days looking for which compressor, when back then they just had one compressor.
On or off.
Right. And so they got the music done and they moved on. So just like the internet, we have all these options. If you're surfing the web and you're, looking for whatever technical,
you gotta click through 10 sites because you can only read the beginning sort of thing, and then you're like, all right, I'll go deeper on this one, and then you're like, well, this is bullshit. So you back out and go back to your search again.
So you do that according to your knowledge and ability, interest, and your know-how, according to yourself, how to navigate through
Sure.
this internet. The next guy next to you might not be that proficient for whatever reason, and
Or,
so
I mean, I back out of
regardless,
sites. I
let me
back
just
out
say
of.
this.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me just say this thought. Regardless of how many options exist out there, the guy to your left or right of you might not. Regardless, he back then or now in modern times would always fall in the ditch, regardless of the information. So if you're able to seek, if you know what you're seeking, if you people are individuals. So regardless of the amount of technology that we have, a dumbass is always going to be a dumbass, and they're going to fall into dumbass things, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a certain, like, even when I'm doing a search for something, I can read and follow with some pretty heavy stuff, but I'll stumble into forums and pages that are like way, way above my pay grade. It's like, wow, okay, I can't, I understand what you're talking about, but it would take a real lot of focus to glean my answer out of these conversations or this article or whatever. It's deeper than I tend to want to go for my answers.
Yes.
I'll hit a lot of them that I'm like, this is written for kids or dummies, and I'll skip out of that one because I'm looking for a little more detail. So there's finding that spot, that one that suits you. There's a lot of that possibility now. And when they figured out that that's a thing, even, and they knew that was a thing with advertising, years ago, and any sort of propaganda, media, whatever. So now they target that for specific populations, all these different news sites and stuff. They might have the same freaking article on there, but the format, the presentation, the ads around it, all of that is geared to engage a certain demographic.
And
that's a good
and
observation.
with data collection, it's also geared to engage you. Because I guarantee you, if you search for something, if you go to Amazon and look for something, you'll find ads for it on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 100% data collection to sell you something.
Dude, I've got like a blinder now that's built in on the side of my face that I'm like, just ignore that side of the screen. Nothing happens over there. Blah 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 blah.
Nothing to see
Except
here.
when I'm here waiting for this to start, then I'm like, oh, look at this thing. This looks crazy. I'll click on it and go watch it while I'm waiting.
Dude, that's half of my life is catching the shiny thing out of the corner of my eye and scrolling down on the suggestions on the right side. That's half of my life.
But that's nefarious. That item that's sitting right there that you don't pay attention, because I do the same thing, but it's sitting there. That's there, and it's there that way because out of 100 people, maybe they'll catch X amount. But even so, the 100 people that see it saw it. And just by seeing it is an introduction.
Right.
I mean,
yes.
I've gone down some rabbit holes and probably actually learned shit because of those stupid. What do they call them when they do their little splash thing? You guys know what that's called? That thing.
The thumbnail.
The thumbnail thing, but the clickbait. The clickbait, like it's all sensational over here.
Sure.
And and they are, but some of them still get me because I'm like, it's the subject matter. I'll be like, oh.
And have you noticed you'll say the same ones over and over?
Yeah, I do. And and I used to be like certain things like ads on Facebook. I'd keep seeing them push ads in front of me, and I'd be like, look, click, don't show me this ad anymore. And then they want to know why and all that. I used to do that to hoe them out, but now I'm like, that's just too time consuming. I can ignore it.
Just ignore it. They're used to people ignoring it. They're hoping to get the person that will interact with it, even if it's just shut it off. Because that's interaction. That means that you are paying attention. So this one didn't work. We try something else.
And they can adjust their algorithm.
Yep.
You guys have
it's still information for them. So I get that. And I don't classify that behavior on the part of these tech companies as nefarious on its face. I mean, that's what you're trying to do, is optimize engagement. They're making no claims that they're trying to be benevolent and all this bullshit. You know, they're a business. So
Oh no,
Exactly.
you're right. You're right. So and what are you getting in turn for it? You're getting free content. You can go. So
Right.
you're right. What are you getting? You're getting all this stuff, and all they're doing is showing you that where you'd have to watch it on TV anyhow. But it's whatever. I think that you're right as far as that. That's the trade off.
Well,
But
I will say it's not as intrusive as it used to be. Because it
how
used
so?
to be you would go to a website and 4
Right.
pop-ups would come up in front of the page you're trying to read, and
Yeah.
3 more pages pop up under the page you're trying to read.
Yeah,
And
that's-
next thing you know, you're hearing people talking in the background, and you're like, where the hell is this coming from? You know?
And the internet was so slow, and you had to wait for those things to load to get rid of them. And you're like, oh my god.
All right. So listen. So comparing back, even back 20 years ago, Times Square with all the lights and the advertising and this and that,
Mhm.
they got a lot of eyes on there. People
Mhm.
driving and walking and whatever, tourists and the advertising.
Yep.
That pales in comparison to what they to the gag that they got going on the internet with ads, because the whole world is watching.
Yeah,
It's
well,
insanity.
and it's been the same thing since the very beginning of all of any kind of mass media. Make no mistake about it. Radio and television is not there for your entertainment. It's there for advertising.
Oh yeah. Well,
You know, they will entertain you to get you to stay there so they can put that advertising on.
yeah.
But
I mean-
it's all for the advertisement, because without that advertising revenue, they don't have any income. They can't put on those shows.
Right. Yeah, it would have to be like public television at that point.
Exactly.
And
And
like, hey,
then-
send us some money, we'll keep putting things on.
exactly.
And
And with the exception to that being the cable networks, there are some cable networks that don't run any advertising because the cable companies pay to have that network on their service.
it's fascinating. I think as a whole, though, you know, if you could snap your fingers and be like, look, we can go back to 1980, no more internet, it's gone forever, or we can keep the internet, you know, as far as the course of humanity, I think it's sort of, we'd end up with something similar anyway in some amount of time. I don't think it's all a bad, you know.
No, I don't either.
I don't think we should shoot it into space with the rest of the trash at this point.
No, I think you're absolutely right there, because I know that I'd be lost without it now. I mean, I did fine for the first 45 years of my life without it, but now that I have it, it's not something I'm willing to give up.
No, I mean,
Well, nobody is. This is the new thing, because
of course,
I mean,
until the next new thing comes along.
no, well, but
the next
in
two things have to be pretty big to replace this one.
but the interconnectiveness. So whether or not it's a tower that we have next to our work desk, or if it's a cell phone, it's still going to be within the that I'm aware of. Maybe they insert a chip in, but it's all interconnectiveness that seems to be the thing where you can easily access all these things. I mean, if you were to do that Dan said, going back to what, if you remember, and we've talked about this, but we'd end up walking around like zombies in malls, eating
I mean, if
cinnamon.
you snapped and took it away, I mean, if you never knew that it was, if we could just go back oblivious to the fact that the internet existed at all, and go back to, you know, good old days.
We'd be walking around malls, eating Cinnabuns, and farting
and drinking Orange Julius. Yeah,
but that's the thing. You spent a lot of time going places looking for things. I know I did. You know, like when I was a kid, it was like, I think we've said it before, it was like comic book stores and record stores and things like that. You would, anytime you found yourself somewhere new, you'd be like, oh, I wonder if they have any. So you go get the phone book, look for comic book stores or bookstores. You're like, oh, there's one, you know, over here. Like, well, let's go over there and check it out.
Yep.
That's a lot of freaking work.
You know, it was, but that was your only choice. I can remember calling around to different record stores to see if they had a particular album in stock. And when I found it, jump on my bike and haul butt down there and get it.
Can you hold it for me? I'm on my way.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm riding my bike though.
Auto parts, like doing auto parts. That was
God.
all day. If you needed a part for your car, you're like, I got to be on the phone. No.
Get a legal pad and the yellow pages.
No, we don't have one of those. That car's freaking old. They'll be like, God damn it. Call the junkyard. Hey, you got any? Yeah, we got a couple out back. All
That's a great example. You can go online and parts for everything, refrigerators, this, that. It's like it's all waiting for you. It's incredible, dude.
You have to wade through some trash sometimes, but yeah, you can usually find anything you're looking for.
As a whole, I love it, but I try not to let it rule my world. You know,
Yeah,
it's a really excellent tool for communication, getting shit done, but
we wouldn't be talking if it weren't for the internet.
Well, exactly. You know, it's great for many things, but at the same time, it can be a complete time suck. Like,
yes,
you lose your whole life stuck
yes
to this thing. So
yes, it's just like it's just like, you know, playing a video game. It can be a major life suck.
Oh, yeah. Well, here I am. You know, I just burned up an hour or something on this thing with you guys. I could have been working.
But on the flip side of that, there were, so with minus the internet, there were people that, like somebody that worked in the mall all their life. They worked in the mall, went back home, ate, watched a little bit of TV, fell asleep, woke up, went to the mall, ate, went back home, went to sleep, and that was.
If you lived close to the mall, that's different in Miami. Like living in the woods, that wasn't an option.
I'm giving you one option, and you can adapt it to people. So if you wanted to go
old enough to drive, that's what we did. Me and my friends would get out of school and like go to the mall on Friday and maybe go back.
You see, there's the mall.
yeah, right to the mall.
But the thing is that it's better now, because right now when we're done here, let's say I want to, I just thought of I just thought of a girl. You know what popped in my head? A girl in a very thin bikini. But let's say I get off here and I want to read a book on the Holocaust. I go to the Internet Archive right now, and you've got thousands and thousands of published books that I can go. So any discipline, anything, you can frickin', learn. Yeah. And we didn't have that back then. We had to really.
That's true.
You had to choose a library, go there, and wonder. It wasn't as good as it is now.
Back in my day, we didn't have malls. We didn't have MTV. We didn't have YouTube. We had to take drugs and go to concerts.
Robin works in a mall. But that mall was hopping freaking 20 years ago. I went to the mall the other day, our Magnet Mall, which was our Magnet Mall when I was a kid. You know, Sears was the big store, and then you got like a J.C. Penney.
But
they're all closing. They're all gone. All the Magnet stores are gone.
So the mall thing is something that was awesome for us. I don't know if I shared it with you guys, but I know I shared it with Greg. What Cam Crusher? What was
Snow Crusher.
Snow Crusher, Cam Crusher. That's another episode. So I sent him a video of an abandoned mall, and there's a lot of those online, and it's like this was the happening place, and now there are these deserted zombie-like places. Yeah. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you take sort of I think a lot of that happens within a 30, 40 year time span. Like the Old West, they got whole towns that just in 30, 40 years, a generation went empty because people were there for a reason, the hot reason of the day, whether it was gold or whatever was in the area, or just the fact that that's where they happened to settle on the way from A to B.
Yeah.
But then it didn't work anymore, so everybody left. We're on to a different thing.
The gold run out and it's gone. I mean, there's tons of ghost towns in Nevada and California that are, Arizona, New Mexico, that are evidence of that. Just people got up and left.
Highways went in, and that really negated a lot of little towns that are on back roads. They're not what they were. Some of them are even ghost towns at this point.
Yeah.
But you said a little bit ago, and you can waste your life on it when referring to the internet. And the reason I brought up those things is because what don't we waste our lives in?
Well, I guess it's not a waste; it's just how you spend it. But I mean,
well, if you're sitting there playing a video game or you're sitting there reading Reddit stories when you know there are other things that need to be done and other things are going neglected, then that's a problem. That's wasting your life away.
If
But
you're
I can equate that with other things too. I mean, I know people who fish their lives away.
Mhm.
Their yard looks like trash, their house is falling apart, but they got to be out on the river before the sun comes up so they can cast that
I guess.
fly the minute the sun peaks up,
Yeah,
you know.
they're happy, right?
Right. I
On
guess
that.
that's the thing. If you're fine and that's the way you wanna
You
Well,
know, their
because
their
that's
wives are
fulfilling for
miserable, their
you.
kids are miserable,
well,
but
but
by God, they got another
Yeah.
salmon, you know.
so this whole thing of balance and stuff that holds true. That you know you need to appreciate the people
Yeah.
that are in your life and
Yeah, you
whatever.
have to have discipline in anything. So,
Right, there has to be balance because you can't neglect your family members and this. I mean, there's that. But
mhm.
but as far as wasting your life on one thing, like so, you know, what's what's valid for one person can be a universe apart for another person. Even a discussion like what we're having now for another person, it's just complete silliness and not necessary, and they wouldn't even think such things. Whereas another person might be thinking all about some sort of dinosaur excavation and the bones and it just we
I'm
are
not.
too um, sort of we're all individualistic minds with some similarities, but people have different interests. That for me, I might look at another person's idea of what's good to do with their life, and I might think, well, that's stupid. But for them, they're quite, satisfied,
Yeah,
and
and
that's their
it
thing.
doesn't. It's no problem to think somebody else's thing is stupid or whatever, so long as you tolerate it.
Yeah,
You have to allow for other people to do what they want to do and be tolerant of that. Otherwise, you get this bullshit where people just shout at each other and
Yeah,
the intolerance becomes violence at some point.
exactly.
So until people get over that, then it's going to be bullshit all the time. But
Yeah.
it doesn't
so,
bother
so
me.
so to wrap it up, I don't know if we should kind of wind it
Yeah,
down.
we should start
Probably, I think
winding
it's
it
just
down.
us and Robin.
To wrap it up, so just and you can follow up with whatever. But so straw wars. Do we keep do we do we keep the plastic straws? Do we go for
No, fuck plastic straws. Just get paper or go get a fucking bamboo reed like Gilligan's Island and suck it up.
okay? All
I
right.
agree. Bring back the paper straws, and you work your way through a McDonald's milkshake with a paper straw. It builds character. Do it
Well,
like we used to do it back when we were rough and tough.
Or
they could
just
give you a
take the freaking lid off and drink it.
Yeah,
no. They
get a
could give you
spoon.
they could give you a plastic spoon.
Steve's keep plastics.
Yeah, just I mean, yeah, I mean, okay, Robin. Yes, paper straws get mushy, but 40 years ago we didn't have plastic straws, and we did just fine.
You know
It's a
what? You can go
relatively
down
new
to the
invention.
hardware store and buy yourself a section of surgical tubing and keep it in your pocket. Just whip that out when you need a straw.
Jerry Brown brings a good point. You can buy a stainless straw.
You can buy stainless tubing probably cheaper than they're selling you that straw too.
Yeah, but see, that opens up a whole nother cottage business.
Right?
I mean,
So
if I could make, I mean, that could be the next big thing. You know what? That could be the
artisanal
next big
straws. Here we go.
Yes. Think about it. Stainless steel straws that are anodized, or aluminum straws that are anodized and laser engraved with your name and your design on it. Forget
like
about
it.
your iPhone cover. Look at my straw.
Oh man.
Yeah. Check out my straw.
I mean, powder coated with flame jobs on them and stuff like that.
You can't carry that around. I'm gonna need a pocket clip on it. And
You're going to Taco Bell. You can grab your straw and take it with you. And they say, you need a straw with that? No, thanks. Got one. Check it out.
can I get like a tactical one with a DNA collector on the end?
You know where I see those? You know where I see those being sold at? Head shops. Head shops.
Well, I mean, that probably, but I mean, I bet you if we went on to Amazon right now, you could find stainless steel or aluminum straws.
Let me see. I'm gonna ask. stainless steel straw.
You probably have to say drinking
Of
straw.
course you can get them. I have
No,
some at my house right now.
Do
Guess
you?
what?
Oh yeah. They came with our I don't know. We got like these juice machines that we make the smoothies in. They came with
$1.99 true stainless steel
Stainless steel
straw.
straw.
Amazon.
There you
Well,
go.
I can't.
$1.99. Yeah. So Jerry Brown, there you go. Because he's got the laser and he's got the rotary attachment and all that other stuff. And he's sitting back there listening to that go.
Cost you more labor to order the tubing. You can't compete with that price. Come on.
No, you take that $1.99 straw, you get it anodized.
Oh, all right.
Custom
Yeah,
laser,
you're
engrave it, and you sell it for
adding
$30.
value. I got you. I thought you were trying to nudge them out of the market. I got you.
Did they ever do that in malt shops, or it was always?
It was paper straws.
It was
Paper
just
straw and a spoon, a silverware spoon, a long-handled spoon that A&W. You go get a root beer float. It came with a straw and with a spoon, a long-handled spoon. And
Robin's
you
not
left the
paying
mug there
$1.99
and
for a
your
straw. They're
stainless.
free right now. You know what? Right now, what someone ought to do is start hoarding plastic straws, fill a shipping container with them because they're going to be valuable as a retro item.
See that now? I'm not paying $1.99 for a straw. I'm with you, Robin. I wouldn't pay $1.99 for a straw. That's an excellent point. I wouldn't pay $1.99 for a straw either, but you show me a blue anodized straw with my name on it and some kind of a cool design weaving its way down it, I might give you $20 for it. I don't know. There's a lot of cheap things that you can buy for $10 down at your local Wally World. But if somebody customizes it for you, the number of people that are willing to pay $50, $80, $150, $200, the number of people that are willing to do that is craziness.
Yeah. You can get cutting boards and do some sort of. There's all sorts of stuff. It's an amazing thing. But I'm. You know what? I think that you guys are more conscientious than I thought you would be. I thought you would both say to the paper straw, but you're saying let's go paper straw.
If there's another way of doing it, a better way of doing it, no matter what that way is, I say why not give it a try? Because you have a choice. You don't have to take the straw at all, or you could take the paper straw. Or you could go to the place that still has the plastic straw.
No, in reality, you're right. What is this thing about the straw? We have a cup. You can put the cup to your mouth and you can drink.
Yeah, it's just hard to do at 60 miles an hour on the interstate. But there's a way around it, If there's another way of doing it, I say why not? And that would be something for a fast food joint or even a local joint to experiment with. Yeah. Don't give anybody you'd have to do it inside. Don't give them a straw, give them their drink, and then say the straws are over there, and have a box of plastic ones and a box of paper ones and see which one you have to replace more often.
You know what I got to say about the metal straw? And it's a bitch. It's fucking washing out a straw, because you're like, all right, wash the straw. I'm going to rinse it out. Then you got to look down the straw and be like, is there particles in there? And then you got to get a stupid brush.
I was going to say that opens up the other, because you sell the straw with the accessory cleaning brush.
Right. We have that at my house. We have the accessory cleaning brush. Now, if you immediately wash the straw, it comes clean real fast. But if you let it sit in the residual smoothie for a little while, then it's got all these chunks in there, and then the next time you pick up the straw, if it wasn't washed, you got.
Well, you can't be nasty about it. There is some responsibility on your part, but it's the same thing. I mean, if you want your cool cell phone cover, you got to keep paying the bill so you have a cell phone. So there's some responsibility on your part.
You got to maintain your straw.
Yeah,
I guess it's like we don't all wear disposable underwear, so maybe we should not be chucking all the straws.
100-year reusable underwear.
Yeah, Linda says
disposable underwear. I said.
Linda says
have paper underwear you pull out of a box or plastic you put on every day and just throw it away at the end. You wash those things.
You know what? Even though you're joking, that sounds good.
Doesn't it?
Linda says at the Kentucky Derby they sell a mint julep with a sterling silver cup and straw, $2,500. You're buying the
Damn.
drink, and you buy the drink, and you keep the glass, the silver
Sterling
cup,
silver cup.
and the silver straw.
You don't have to give it back?
No, for
No,
25. That's why it
commemorative.
costs $2,500.
I know. I'm just saying. It's like it's such a scam, dude. I mean,
Mhm.
But you're talking about people who $2,500 is nothing.
You can afford to go to that Kentucky Derby, and you get the.
You
all
can
dressed
afford a
up with
$2,500 drink.
blah, 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 blah. You got to get the mint julep anyway. So
Yeah,
damn.
yeah.
Wow.
And you can trust me. If I ever had the money to go to the Kentucky Derby, I would buy one of those
Yeah?
just to say that I had it. Yes,
Really?
because that's bragging rights forever.
I'd just wait for some drunk person to put theirs down, and I'd walk off. Not paying $2,500.
No.
That's a big ticket item right there.
It is a big ticket item, but they're not trying to sell it to folks who shop at Walmart. They're trying to sell it to folks who shop at Tiffany.
Trying to sell to folks who shop at the country bed shop.
At the country bed shop.
Well, so anyways, let's wrap this up. Look, I enjoyed it. I think it was I'm glad Dan came in.
I was willing to be a guinea pig tonight. I don't know if I'll do it again, but
Well,
you're welcome.
You were a guinea pig, but we enjoyed, the interaction. We're still feeling it out. I don't think that this is a bad. I kind of like it, and but then again, we don't have to do it this way all the time. We're still working that out, but I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I think if you guys have a topic that you can go on and stuff, and you feel you can go on it, you don't have to do this format. But if you have another one, you're like, I don't know if we can flesh this out for the time we want to be there. Maybe we just open it up,
Yeah.
Bring it, man.
We'll figure out. I think it was. I'm glad we did it like this evening. Nothing. What else do we say?
Nothing.
We say thank you all for joining us. We say thank you all for being here. We say thank you to Dan and the Country Bed Shop for being our first guest.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead and say for the people that come in later. Give us your where to find you.
Why? Are they looking for me?
You never know. I mean, it's a free plug. Remember, the internet's all about advertising. Do I have to go through all that again?
We're the Country Bed Shop here in Ashby, Massachusetts.
Do you have a website?
Countrybed.com. You can find me over there. How's you, Daniel, on the IGs, if that's still a thing in the year 2040 when you're watching this. And Facebook. I'm over there too. So we kind of get around.
What kind of designs? I mean, what's the brief? Just a basic bio, like half a paragraph bio of the beds and the styles and like.
Oh, all right. Mainly, what we make here is early American reproduction furniture, primarily beds, thus the name Country Bed Shop. So 4-poster beds and things like that. So I've been doing that like 30 years now. So.
And you also do repairs, right?
Yeah, we'll do repairs. Those aren't as lucrative.
But if you've got a bed from 1790,
but if you got a bed, like a family heirloom or a really old one, and you want it fixed right, this is where you.
No, Mark got you on the. So on the heels of Mark, what he said. So you do repairs. Do you do windows too?
No, we get weirdos who'll send us like a spinning wheel leg to copy, and it's crazy.
No, because I love it. Because Mark gave an alternative. He's thinking because Mark is being conscientious.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dan.
There it is. Still to put it in.
No, it's on my list though for this year.
This millennia, we're gonna get this thing fixed. All right. That's what I do, and dabble in other things here and there. But
countrybed.com.
Countrybed.com.
They can see your you have photos and images and all the good stuff.
Yeah, the website's a little janky right now. We need some work on it, but it's a small business, so
I know a guy.
Yeah,
I know a fella.
I know that guy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep. So we do our thing there. The internet's been an issue. We were pre-internet business, so
Yeah.
we came into the internet early. The website has evolved, and it's hard to keep up when you've got 10 hats to wear. But
Okay.
we do pretty good.
Robin
Have a
wants to
YouTube
know
channel? I do, but there's like 6 videos there. I think I got 8 followers or something. There's stuff over there.
Well,
I don't even know what it is. I think it's
oh,
just
that's pretty bad.
I think it's just Harshu Daniel or maybe it's Daniel Harshu. Maybe it's I don't remember what I have it up as. But yeah, there's a couple over there. We'll probably have like one more this decade. And they're
Linda's-
beautiful legs. Thank you. You like my legs?
Yeah, I don't know what she means by that, but
She does. She loves those legs. She made me a really nice hat. Wait, it's here somewhere. I was wearing it the other day. It's my hat from Linda. It's right there.
yeah. She spun that. She spun that from alpaca and knitted it for Dan.
It's very soft.
Very nice.
I did shrink it a little bit, but it still fits my melon. So.
Oh, Steve Nealon on the spot. I
And
tell you,
YouTube.
man. There's Dan's YouTube channel, and get over there and subscribe. Maybe we can shame him into posting something new. At least, some glamour shots of the latest thing you've put
Dude,
out.
that's really time consuming,
Who are you telling? Who are you telling?
It's much easier just to be a guest on somebody else's YouTube.
Jeez. All right.
All right. So listen, we're also sponsored by Harneal Media. And since Mark always does this part, I don't know how. I'm Harneal Media, and you can go to harnealmedia.com if you need a website, if you want to sell items, if you have any type of project that you want to promote out there, and you need a vehicle website to do that with, to send people to, so they can read up and learn more about your product and projects. You can have that done with Harneal Media and ask for Steve. Just go to harnealmedia.com and he can get a store up and running for you and everything. So with products and just you name it, and it's a personalized service. So go over there and check him out. harnealmedia.com, sponsor of the Trampled Underfoot podcast.
And you got to get a new ad read written. Yes, you do. And I got a bone to pick with you, Steve. Please link Harneal Media in the chat over here when you put our links in. I mean, I appreciate you putting our links in there too, but put yours in there as well, please. I would appreciate that just on a personal level.
None of us are very good at this shameless self-promotion.
You know what? If we keep this up another 20, 30 years, we might get something right. Eloy and I have been trying for 3 years, and we ain't done it yet.
No, I think
Steve.
We've had success. I think that, look, you know what? To me, we've had success. And what success means to me is that we've been able to do this and share ideas and reminisce on things that are of value to each other individually and both of us at the same time, things that we remember. And I think it's been quality. So to me, the value has always been that. Would it be awesome if we were getting some buku money from that? Well, that would be cool too. But you know what? All in all, at the end of the day, I'm glad we've done this.
Me too.
And I hope that we keep doing it,
Yeah.
and
I want to keep doing it. I want to keep doing it because I think I've gone on record as saying that my main reason for doing this is an archive of us. This is an archive of our thoughts. You're talking about, Dan was talking about his grandkids. My great grandkids can come along and see that great grandpa was a goofy dude. You could see what I look like, what I sound like, that I smoke too much, that I drink coffee at all hours of the night. And just, it's me. I wish I had something like this of my great grandfather because I don't have anything. So this is for future generations and for our entertainment right now.
Let me say one thing about that I don't know that I've ever mentioned before and I've thought of. We've always said, well, what if then the internet ends and this? We've thought of all sorts of things. I just want to add this one idea. We also don't know where this footage, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years will end up as people
Yeah.
extract from
Mhm.
its original source location.
Yep.
What other servers, what other formats? We don't know nothing of
Yeah.
where all this content across the internet is going to reappear or multiply towards. We have no concept of what that might look like.
Dan found the backgrounds.
That was a perfect moment for saying that, because we are out of here. Show us a background that's sexy.
I only got two options. I got this house and this brick
That-
wall.
Yeah, I think the house is kind of sexy, but I'm wondering why there's that big post right behind you in that middle
That's
of that
table
living
art,
room.
Mark. That's highbrow shit. You just don't understand. I'm gonna go play some Chopin on my piano after this, and knock back
No.
a couple.
Can you do that, Mark?
Whiskeys.
I probably could. I don't know. I've never tried.
Do you have that with your?
It's in the settings down the bottom. There's a virtual background.
Oh, you're doing that inside the thing?
Yeah.
Virtual backgrounds. Yeah.
Where is that?
Settings down at the bottom of mine. Where it says mute, stop cam, share, leave
I never
studio.
even looked at that.
Yeah, click settings. It's going to give you virtual background. Mine has camera, audio, and virtual background. And then you can upload your own backgrounds, apparently, if I had one.
Mine says...
Yeah, I don't have enough.
Mine says I don't have a green screen. Mine says...
Yeah.
Green screen's recommended, but it'll work without.
Yeah.
Just not as well.
It may be so, but, well, I'm doing that, and it's...
I got an internal error. Well, we can play with this after the show.
Right?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that existed until Dan just did that.
You try this.
No. Now what
Dan
to do?
likes to fumble around with...
There's a bed. No, just a random picture from my picture files. But
All right, let you know what? We're playing live on air, although we have been. We're out of here. Have a safe week, folks.
Yep. Take care and see you next week.